You know that feeling when you do a meditation, maybe a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation, and you feel amazing, but then you slip back into your old patterns or your old self by the afternoon. Or when you do a Neville Goddard technique and you feel like you're living in the end, but then your brain keeps pulling you back into survival mode, or stress, or anxiety. Well, I lived this frustrating cycle for years and I was drowning in debt because neither method alone was complete. But then I discovered how to merge neuroscience and identity work, and that is when everything changed. Now, I make $30,000 a month, and I want to show you exactly how to bridge both worlds. And so, I was in this cycle for years, and I was living in a loop of struggle and hard work. But merging these two is what changed my life completely. And so, I first want to tell you about the 30-day experiment that almost broke my brain. Literally, because that's what it will feel like. Oh, by the way, if you want to remove the complexity of manifestation and make manifestation automatic, then book an alignment call and alignment session with me. All you have to do is click on the link below. Now, I took some notes here and that's what I'm going to run through. But I decided to do Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself meditation every single morning for 30 days straight. And let me tell you, day one was like trying to meditate while your brain was having a full-blown panic attack. And it was having a panic attack about my credit card bills, okay? So I'm sitting there, eyes closed, trying to become no body, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time. And then my mind is like, Kev, remember that Netflix charge? Oh, how about rent? That's due. Oh, did you respond to that client email? It's like trying to achieve enlightenment while your accountant is having a nervous breakdown. You know what I mean? I felt like I was meditating while Gordon Ramsay was literally screaming at my ear. You acknowledge how loud that voice in your head is. But here's what nobody tells you about Joe Dispenza's work, and this is important. Most people quit in the first week because they think they are doing it wrong, right? And I thought I was doing it wrong at the beginning, but you're not. You're not doing it wrong. Your brain is literally fighting for its survival, okay? So day one, I'm feeling confident, right? I'm feeling confident. Like I've got I'm going into my meditation corner, got my Joe Dispenza meditation lined up, and I'm ready to become no body, no one, no thing. Sit my ass down, press play, and Joe's voice comes on, right? In a calm, I'm about to rewire your entire existence type of energy. So I close my eyes and become no body, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time. And I'm like, easy. I can be nothing. I've been practicing being nothing my whole life. Then about 3 minutes in, I'm actually doing it. I'm transcending. This is easy. And then my brain goes, did you remember to pay your electricity bill? Oh, why does your back hurt? Oh my God, what was that sound? Was that a burglar or just your cat? Man, but I made it through the entire meditation. And honestly, I felt pretty good. Like I just had a mental shower. That's the best way I can describe it. But then I checked my phone and then I had 3 overdue payment notifications, right? One in an email, one by text message, and a missed call. But then I remembered something Neville always said. You must always feel into the state of your wish fulfilled. And I thought, okay. So Joe gets me into an elevated state, but then what? How do I actually live from that state? Okay, now this is day 2 to 7, all right? By day 3, I realized I had a problem. The Joe Dispenza meditations were amazing for getting me into an elevated state of being. But the moment I opened my eyes, I was back to being broke, anxious, sad Kev, right? It was like I was spiritually enlightened for about 20 minutes and then immediately returned to checking my bank account. It's crazy. It's like checking my bank account 17 times before buying a coffee, right? It's straight back into my old self. But then I remembered one of Neville's techniques, living from the end, right? He says you always have to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and live from that state of being throughout your day. Interesting. So I decided to combine them both. I do the Joe meditation in the morning, get into the elevated state, then I would use Neville's technique to maintain it for the rest of the day. So after meditation, instead of, immediately checking my phone to check my bank account, spiraling back into anxiety, I would ask myself, how would this version of me who makes $30,000 a month feel right now? How would he move throughout his day? And so day 5, I'm walking to get a coffee, or I'm at my coffee shop, the usual place. And I'm thinking, please don't decline card, please don't decline. And I'm trying to embody the energy of someone who doesn't worry about money, okay? So I'm getting to that state of being, ordered my drink like someone who belongs there. I even tipped the worker there because I want to share, right? But I walked out, I'm feeling different. I didn't feel fake. I wasn't like I was pretending, but I was remembering who I actually was underneath all of that financial anxiety. Okay? And week two is interesting. This is where things get messy, right? Pay attention closely. Joe's meditations were bringing up old emotional stuff, right? I'm crying about business failures that I had 3 years ago, and I thought I dealt with that. But then here's where Neville's teaching saved me. He always talked about how your current reality is the result of your past states of consciousness. Boom, mind blown. So all this emotional stuff coming up, it was just old programming being cleared out, but it was stuck in my body, right? Day 10, I am ugly crying. I'm ugly crying about my failed business. And I remember Neville saying that the past exists only in our memory, the future only in our imagination. The only reality is now. So instead of getting lost in this emotional purge, I started using it as fuel for my new identity. So every time an old limiting belief came up, you know what I mean? You're not good enough. You always fail. You have to struggle. Who are you kidding? I would counter it with Neville's technique. I would choose the opposite, right? I'd feel into that state of being successful. I would first have to regulate my nervous system, get into a relaxed state, because that's just bypassing if I did that. But after I get into a relaxed state, I would feel that new sense of identity. Okay? In that present reality now. Day 12. Oh my God, I had a panic attack about money. But instead of spiraling, I closed my eyes, got into a relaxed state and regulated my nervous system and asked, what is the state of being of the version of me who already makes $30,000 per month like? Okay? Not a wish, but I was embodying that version of me now. The key to this is to stay in a relaxed state, regulate your nervous system. And so when I embodied it, I felt relief, security, freedom for just a moment, but it was just real. It was real. And something shifted. The panic decreased. It was no longer there. Not because I was delusional, but because I remembered what it felt like not to be afraid. Day 15 was a breakthrough. Here I am doing a Joe Dispenza meditation, getting into that no body, no one, no thing state. And instead of just floating in the void, I got a download. I applied Neville's technique. And from that elevated state, I mentally rehearsed myself as the successful version of me that is making $30,000 per month. Not trying to become him, but recognizing that he already exists in that immaterial realm. And Neville always says, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Now Joe gets you into that place where you can actually do that authentically. Right? That's the key word, authentically. The combination is so powerful. Joe clears out the old, and Neville is like installing the new programming. Okay? It's like Joe was the delete button and Neville was the download. And in day 18, I get a call from a potential client. Normally, when I would see that caller ID, I would panic. I would try to rehearse what I'm about to say, and basically have a breakdown before answering the phone. But I've been practicing living in the end of being that successful version of me. So when the phone rang, looked at the caller ID, answered it like the version of me who was already having that thriving business. Not fake confidence, not pretending, but genuinely embodying that state. And I closed a $5,000 deal in 15 minutes. You know what that client said? You seem really confident. And I like working with confident people. But then I realized I wasn't confident. I was just being myself. The self that already exists when I'm not afraid. Now, day 20, something even weirder happened, right? I'm at the grocery store, doing my normal shopping, but instead of grabbing the cheapest stuff, right? Grabbing the cheapest stuff and run away. I shopped like someone who deserved good food, healthy, organic, whole foods. I wasn't being reckless, but because I was living from the state that Neville taught, the assumption that I'm the person who already is who I want to be. I bought organic strawberries without checking my bank account first, or having a conversation with my head, you know what I mean? I just bought them like a normal person who didn't have a panic attack in the produce section. Now here's what's interesting. Here's what's actually happening, and why both teachers are necessary. Well, for me, Joe's work is about changing your brainwaves, rewiring your neural pathways, getting out of survival mode. It is the science of transformation. Now, Neville's work is about consciousness, imagination, living from the end. It's the art of transformation. Joe gets you into the state where change is possible. Neville shows you how to direct that change. It's like Joe is giving you the clean canvas, and Neville teaches you how to paint the masterpiece. And so, without Joe's work, I try to do Neville's techniques from a place of desperation and anxiety. Survival, right? Please let this work. Please, please, please. I'm so broke. I need this to work. I need this so badly. That is not living it from the end, right? That is not living from the end. That is begging from lack. Huge difference. But after Joe's meditation, I could genuinely feel abundance, success, worthiness. Not as something needed, but as something I already am. And so without Neville's work, Joe's meditations would just be, temporary feel-good sessions. I'd feel elevated for about 20 minutes. Then I would go back to the same old patterns, hanging out with an old self, you know what I mean? Me and my old self being besties. But with Neville's living in the end, I could maintain that elevated state throughout the day. Easily. All right, this is where it gets interesting. Because the last week was when external reality started matching my internal state. Day 22, I had another $5,000 client, but this time it felt normal, expected even, right? Day 25, I had 3 referrals that came in. Now people were recommending me without even me asking. And day 28, I realized I hadn't anxiously checked my bank account in 4 days. Now the biggest change wasn't the money, but it was how I felt about myself. That constant background anxiety, that voice that was saying, you're never good enough, you're a failure, how many businesses have you failed? Replace that with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's not arrogance, it's not even fake it till you make it energy. It's just a quiet confidence, a serene confidence that I am exactly who I am supposed to be. And the final day, day 30, I'm doing my final meditation, and I realized something. I wasn't trying to become someone new anymore. I was just being who I've always been underneath all of the fear and conditioning and the programming. Neville was so right. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. Whew. Thank you, Joe, because you helped me clear that refusal, and Neville's work helped me to see what was already there. But here's what most people get wrong, right? And I did this a lot. I would try to do a Joe Dispenza meditation or Neville Goddard separately, but they're not competing methods. They are complementary. Joe without Neville is just temporary feel-good sessions. Neville without Joe is just trying to imagine from a dysfunctional or a dysregulated nervous system. But together, that's when the magic happens. Okay? Now I want to tell you what worked for me. So write this down. Morning, Joe Dispenza meditation to get into an elevated state of being. Now throughout the day, Neville's living in the end. To maintain that state, okay? I would use Neville's SATS technique to program the subconscious, and then the meditation changes your state of being. Now the mental rehearsal or the imaginal work directs that state, and this consistent practice makes it your new normal. It's not about doing more techniques. It's about doing the right techniques in the right order. So I've created an action plan for you, right? I want to help you out. I've got my dream life already, so I want you to have this applicable action plan to create your dream life as well. So I want you to start with 20 minutes of Joe Dispenza meditation every morning. Pick whatever it is for you. After meditation, spend 5 minutes in Neville's Living in the End. Feel yourself as already successful. Now throughout the day, this is very important. Ask yourself, set an alarm. How would the successful version of me handle this? Whew. That's right. And then before you go to bed, Neville's SATS technique, imagine your wish fulfilled as you fall asleep. Now, if you want the exact framework that I use to bridge neuroscience with imagination, the specific meditations, the daily practices, and the mindset shifts that turn this into $30,000 months, then book an alignment session with me and we'll personalize it specifically for you. Link is in the description. But here's the thing, whether you decide to work with me or not, start bridging these two worlds because your future self is waiting at the intersection of science and imagination.